fullest of regards to the fellow members of the Alpha branch of the Utopia. And now, commencing video. Okay everyone, so now it is time to look at another story time with dear bro MikuFan 3000, who wanted to entail a story as to how he met his close friend named Oliver. And if you remember Oliver, he also played with us for the first time during the Splatfest, the previous Splatfest if you will. And now we're here to learn about how they both met and of course befriended with each other. And of course how they became brothers along the way when I came to their lives and whatnot. So yeah, with that being said guys, make sure you subscribe to MikuFan 3000 for more of his amazing videos, and of course story time, his channel is provided in the description, comes in the outro. And if you are new here and want to see more content from this channel, please do not hesitate to like the video, leave your comments down below, and please hit the subscribe button with the notifications activated. And yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and sit back, hear the story, and of course that'll be all for today's reactions afterwards. Wrong clip now. Hi everyone, before continuing, it is with great pleasure to let you guys know that I made a cameo. If you'd like to receive a personal video shout out from me, whether it's your birthday, your wedding day, or if you even like to receive a congratulatory shout out for your gaming achievement, sporting achievements, social media account milestones, and so much more to help you to also start your cameo journey, please refer to my link located in the video description.
Hey, what's up, MikuFans? MikuFan 3000 here.
Hey, bro.
Welcome to story time. That's right, MikuFans. I'm going to tell you another story of my life. And I really wanted to tell you this story for a little while now, but it's because it's a little personal one because of my close friend Oliver. If you don't know Oliver, he is a very, very shy person, and he doesn't like communicating with people. He only want to talk with those people he trusts the most.
Yeah.
Like his family or those he have a close bond with. And this here is a story of how I actually got to be friends with him. But before I begin the story, I want to say this. It was a very big struggle to earn his trust. But now Oliver has actually gave me permission to tell this story.
Oh, okay.
So, thank you, Oliver. And now it's time for you to know how I became friends with one of the coolest guys ever.
Yes,
Even
he's
though
definitely
you're
cool.
shy, Oliver, you're still a good person.
Indeed.
So, please sit back, everyone. If you don't want to hear the story, that's fine, but I want to tell you anyway. So, it all started when I was 22 years old.
Oh.
Yes, when I was 22, I was still doing well after that major eye infection I had a year ago when I almost lost my left eye. Yeah, if you want to know that story, you can go to my channel and check out the video on my rare eye infections.
And if you also haven't heeded my reaction to that story, I'm going to add that video to the outro in case you guys missed it. So yeah, I reacted to the story time at the time when he wanted me to lend my take on what happened during those times, and it was pretty star-crossed. So if you haven't seen my reaction to that story time, the video will be provided in the outro of the video before you get to this one, or you can choose vice versa.
And there you know all the details. And back then, no one knew the name of this one. They never gave it a name until now. Now it's actually known as the eye infection called VBC. And it's an infection that affects 6 people out of 1 million who gets born. And the reason why it's so, deadly for the eyes, if I have to be honest, is because of a small bacteria that lives permanently inside the eye fluid. You know, the tears that moist your eyes. It lives in that fluid. And when the bacteria is inactive, when it's sleeping, your eyes are perfectly okay. But when the bacteria becomes active in a rare condition, when it like wakes up, it can literally attack the moist around your eyes, and that can cause an eye infection. But when it becomes really aggressive, it can create an eye infection that's so bad that your eyes could die. And that day I was so close, but my God, I was so lucky. Because I refused surgery, I refused to have my eye removed, even though how painful it was.
Ouch.
But anyway, I fought it off, and now we know the reason why this eye infection was made. Or existing, to be exact. But anyway, that's enough of that. Today the doctors are trying to find a cure for it, and I hope one day will come so no other people has to suffer like we are doing. But back to when I was 22. I was still doing well after that eye infection I had. I was doing okay with my life, and I was celebrating a few birthdays with my friends. But then I saw there was actually a website where people can join, people who had rare conditions, when you have ASD, or if you are having something wrong with your back. If you have a rare illness, you can join that place. And it's happening over in Copenhagen, Denmark's largest city. And I thought maybe I could meet some new friends over there, and maybe we could become friends.
So basically it's like a community.
So I went to my mother and I told her about that place, and we looked at that website, and she actually thought it was a good idea. So we went to that website and we put in my information, and we told, we wrote a little story about how my days have been progressing ever since I had that eye infection. I'm still getting them 3 or 4 times a year. But they're minor, can be treated easily. It's very rare that I get those major ones, and thank God for rare.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we put all that information in. We put in my name, we put in my birthday, we put in what kind of illnesses I had in the past, and we also put in the information what kind of medicines I'm using. Right now I'm just dealing with asthma, but I'm getting an inhaler, so it's fine. And we send that email with all my information to that company, and then all we can do was wait, because they have to say if it's okay if I can join, or I have to put in more information. So all I can do was wait. So I waited for a response for that company, and it actually took a while. It actually took like 2 months before I got a response, so they must have been very busy.
Yeah, you get that from most
anyway,
companies
when
responding to your queries.
December the 18th, I actually got an email from that company, and it told me I was accepted.
Wow.
I was happy that I was going to see this place, because now I could actually see some more people who has the same condition like I had. So that was that, and it said I could join in on January the 11th next year. So I was preparing myself for that day, and it also said you can come alone or you can bring a parent with you. And the first day I actually thought maybe I should bring one of my parents with me, and my mother, she went with me. So that was that. It was all planned. So when it was January the 11th, we took the train and we went to Copenhagen. It was a nice ride to see all that scenery out the window. Anyway, then we arrived at the station, we took a taxi cab, and we drove to that hospital who has this place. And when we got there, it was a huge building. I mean, I know Copenhagen well, but I'd never been in that side of the city before. But anyway, we got to Copenhagen, we got to that hospital, and we entered. Then we saw the register, and there was a nice lady. She was sitting there with her computer and she was taking notes, and we went to her and we kindly greeted each other, you know, hello, how you doing? And she looked up and she smiled and said, welcome to the Hospital of Copenhagen. What can I do for you, please? And I told them that I had this email. I showed them the email on my phone, and she looked at it and she was like, oh, you must be the new guy who wanna join us. And I said, yes, that's me. And
Gotta
she
love
said,
emails with letters of
please take a
acceptances.
seat. We'll call your name once we're ready. And then me and my mom, we sat down and waited. And just 10 minutes, we got called up. So we went to the entrance, and there was two nice men standing there waiting. And they kindly greeted me and my mother, and then they told my mom, sorry ma'am, but you can't come inside. We only need to have him with me. It's only for members. So my mom understood, and she said she was going to wait for me at the waiting room. It will only take 3 hours before this meeting was over.
Wow.
Yes. And before I continue, I want to say this place is actually there where I have my 3 months of meetings with those trials, and they're also a candidate for treatments. It's also there I volunteered to do research to help find a cure. So yeah, I have been taking many tear samples in the last couple of years, but I'm doing it to help people. So back to the story. I told my mom to wait, and she went to the waiting room, and luckily she had her computer with her, so it was okay. She could work a little bit there. And then I went with those two guys, and I saw a nice big room, and there was a lot of tables and a lot of seats. And I could pick any desk I wanted. So I picked the one close to the door.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I sat down, and then I suddenly saw other people coming in. They were old members. They were like from the past. And then I saw there was other people with the same eye infection as me, and I thought, wow, so I'm not the only one who had this problem. There was others like me. There was old people in their 50s or maybe their 60s, and then there was also younger people. And then I saw there was also children. When I saw there were kids in there who was only 10 and 9 years old, that struck me.
Wow.
So young? I was like, so young? That's not right. Why do kids need to suffer? It was hurtful.
Wow.
But anyway, then 3 nurses and 1 doctor came in, and they greeted us, and before they went on with the meeting, they said, please welcome our 2 newest members. And then they pointed at me first, and they gave me an applause, and I was like, thank you guys. But who was the second newbie? And then they told the name, and then I looked over and I saw Oliver. But I barely saw him, to be honest, because he was hiding behind his parents. He was so shy. The only thing I could see was his shoes and the remain of his hoodie. And I could also see the top of his hair, but the rest of it, not clearly enough. And I was like, why is his parents allowed to come in?
Yeah.
And then the doctors, they said the reason. Please excuse his parents, but they're here for him for this time and also in the future because he's suffering a condition that makes people very, very shy. So if you see his parents like that, it's because of that. But Oliver has kindly agreed to volunteer for this place here. So that's that. I was like, is he really that shy? But when his mother went away a little bit, I could actually see Oliver for the first time.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, he doesn't look that bad. He has a nice beard and he looked very kind. But I could clearly see he was incredibly shy. I mean, most of the time, he didn't even look up at the people. He was always sitting down like this with his eyes closed. And I was just wondering, why is he not looking up?
Because he
Is
was
gonna
overly
sit like this
shy.
all the time? But
Which is understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just trying to be polite, so I was not saying anything. I was just letting him be, and hopefully maybe I could get to talk to him when we have a lunch break.
Yeah.
And we listened to those doctors for the first hour, and they told us about the things they know about the eye infection we had so far. And I was very amazed how much they discovered since my eye infection almost 2 years back then. But then I just continued to listen, but in a few times I kept looking at Oliver, and I was like, hello, can you please look up? They're trying to talk to us. But Oliver, he kept looking down at his desk with his eyes closed. He didn't even peek up a single bit. So I was like, is he that shy? I was very confused. But I didn't like stand up and say, hey, can you look up please? I was not doing that.
Yeah.
I was taking my time.
Yeah.
And then when we got to the lunch break, I once again looked over at Oliver, and I could see he was eating his lunch, but he was still sitting with his mother and his father. And I didn't want to make a fuss, so I just enjoyed my lunch. But when I was done, I looked over at Oliver again, and then I gently waved over and I said, hey, are you okay? But once again, no response. So I tried once again and I said, excuse me, can you hear me? I'm right here. But his shyness was stronger than my words. So all I could do was just saying, fine. But there was just something inside me that told me, you need to say more than just a quiet hello. Go over and say hi. But I didn't want to make a fuss, so I just kept sitting down.
Yeah.
And after that meeting was over, it was time to go home. But before I went out to my mother, who was waiting in the waiting room, I went over to Oliver very slowly. I didn't came like really close. I was just taking a few steps, and then I was right next to his mom. I just quietly waved over to Oliver and I said, hey you, are you here? I just want to say good job today, even though you kept looking down. But I could see Oliver, he just kept looking down like this and didn't respond at all. So I thought of my second solution. I went to his mother and I kindly said hello, and I said, I'm very sorry that I kept trying to interrupt you guys, but is there a reason why your son won't respond to my quiet hellos. I was just trying to be polite. I'm very sorry not to make a... I don't want to make a fuss. I just want to know. And then his mother, she was very, very kind, and she responded back with this: I'm very sorry about my son, that he's very quiet, but he's been very shy ever since childhood. He had never been able to make friends because he's always been this quiet.
Oh.
And
so he was
the only
extroverted.
people he
Introverted.
is the ones he trusts, including me and his father and his 2 other siblings. That's right, Oliver, he was not the only child. He was having an older sister and a younger brother. He was the second in line. So I kindly asked if it's okay, how can I earn his trust? Because I really want to become friends with him. But she said it's going to be very difficult to earn his trust, because Oliver, he is always this shy. Making friends is never easy. So if I were you, I will have an extreme long patience. You know, I will have patience.
And patience is a virtue.
And that was the end of that talk. So I just said, okay, thank you, ma'am. I don't want to bother you anymore today. Have a pleasant day. And then I went out to my mom and we took the train home. But on the way home, I kept thinking about Oliver. I was just sitting there with my hand on my chin, and I kept looking out the window and I couldn't get him out of my head.
So you were contemplating about him.
Out of my mind. I was just like, there must be a way to earn his trust. I will try again next time in 3 months. And when the 3 months arrived, you know, they went by, I was back at Copenhagen at that place. And it was 2 weeks before my 23rd birthday. And Oliver, he just had his birthday. Yes, it was April the 13th.
Yeah.
And he has his birthday on April the 12th. So when I arrived in, I was the second person to meet, so there was not many people who arrived at the time. But like last time, Oliver, he came with his parents, and he was behind them as usual.
Yeah.
And he was the last person to meet. So this time I thought I want to go over and greet them. And I went over to them, but once again I was stopped. His parents, they just gently showed their hands at me like this. Don't come any closer, please. Remember his shyness. But something in me said, you should come closer. But the other part of me said, you should listen to them. I was fighting 2 sides of my body. One wanted to come closer and one wanted to back off. Which one should I listen to? And guess what? I chose the side to come closer. I ignored his parents' advice. And I just went over to Oliver, and then he just stared at me. But when he stared at me, I saw it. I saw a horrifying sight. When Oliver looked at me, I saw his right eye was white, and then I immediately knew it.
The eye infection.
That was not a normal eye. It was made of plastic. He had a plastic eye.
Oh my
to
God.
cover a wound. And then something shifted in me. I was like, what have I done? I made a fuss. I ruined a chance. that I had.
Oh
I
no.
ruined everything. So I quickly backed away and I just sat down at my desk. I was in so much regret. Why did I not listen to the sign to back away? I made a fuss. And when I just quietly looked over, just with my eyes, I could clearly see his parents was not happy with me.
Oh
They
no.
were pissed off. And I was like this. I was sitting like this for 5 whole minutes, covering my face in regret. I kept saying, why did I do this? Why did I do this? Why was I such a jerk? Why was I such a big idiot?
You're not an idiot.
Yep.
You were just curious, but at the same
Why
time
was I
though.
an idiot? I will never get that answer. Then the meeting started and I was hoping they would forget what I did. But I had this thought in my head. I couldn't get that eye out of my head. How did he lose that eye?
Because of the infection.
I just wanted to know. But I didn't want to interrupt them again. So when we had that lunch break, I saw his father standing alone. And I thought, I have to make this right. I had one thing in my mind. I wanted to apologize. So I went over to him quietly and I just said, excuse me, sir. Then he looked over at me like this. He was just standing like this. And I could clearly see he was not in a happy mood to see me. And he was like, are you trying to interrupt my son again? Do you want to make a fuss? I could see I had really screwed up. But I was having my hands folded and I said, sir, I don't want to make a fuss. Please don't be angry with me. Please don't be angry. I want to make this right. I want to apologize for my behavior. I just want to apologize. I'm very sorry. I'm deeply, deeply sorry, sir. And he gently lowered his arms and he said, thank you for the apology, but if I were you, sir, I will leave Oliver alone. And then he just turned around and went back to Oliver. And that was the end of that conversation.
Wow.
And I was happy that he accepted my apology, but when he said, if I were you, I will leave Oliver alone, I couldn't accept that. Something inside me told me, I can't leave Oliver alone. He needs a friend. And I wanted to be it. Something inside me said, be friends with this guy. But how? I just got his parents' forgiveness. And will I be able to ruin it? I guess so, because I was not a quitter. So, after that meeting, the last people to leave the room was, of course, the doctors, but I was staying a little longer because I was helping them cleaning the tables after the meeting. But then I saw Oliver standing alone. He was standing alone for once. And then I thought, this might be my only chance. So I kindly went to him and I said, Oliver? Then he gently looked up and he looked at me. He actually looked at me. That was shocking. For the first time, Oliver looked at someone instead of his parents. And I was like, this might be a small victory. And then I just gently remained calm and I just kindly said, look, Oliver, I'm very sorry that I was behaving like this at the start of this meeting. I didn't want to be a burden to you, but I just want to know, do you need a friend? But all Oliver was doing was just standing there and looking at me. All he did was look, and I kept seeing that wide eye that he had. And I just kindly said, it's okay if you don't want to answer. Take the time you need. But if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm just right here. You can trust me. I don't want to be a... But when I was about to say I don't want to be a burden, I heard an angry voice behind my back.
Uh-oh.
He was saying, "What are you doing with my son?"
Oh,
then
no.
I had a cold sweat on my spine. I looked behind me, and there was his father.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was like, oh no. And all I could say was I was just talking. That's all I did. I was just having a talk. I just wanted to talk to him. That's all I wanted. But his father didn't take me kindly. And then, I'll never forget this. He grabbed me like this.
What?
He grabbed me on my jacket, and I was frozen in fear. But before his father could yell at me, 2 security guards grabbed his father
God.
and dragged him away from me. I was rescued in the nick of time. But my God, his father was yelling angry at me on the way out.
That's freaking scary, man.
And then
Very
I saw
frightening
his mother
indeed.
come in, and she took Oliver with her. She took Oliver with her. And before she went out, she looked at me with a cold look. And then I remember what she said. She said, "Next time we arrive, you better leave our son alone, or else we won't be so polite." After that, I fell down on my knees. I was scared, I was horrified.
Jesus.
I felt my life was being threatened. All I wanted was just to be a friend with him. But did it really have to be this hard?
The process of befriending
It's a hard
certain
story to
people was
tell
very
being
strenuous,
threatened like
if you
that.
think about it.
And I'm not joking, his father actually grabbed me on my jacket. And I was rescued by 2 security guards.
Did your mother get involved?
So when the next 3 months went by,
Oh.
I knew it was time to go to another meeting, but I was scared to go.
Oh.
So I actually called off that day. I stayed away. I didn't return until the next 3 months had went by. That day I was so scared, so I stayed away. But then, at the next 3 months, I went there again. And luckily, everything was cool. There was nothing wrong now. And people kindly said, "Welcome back. We missed you last time." I was glad to see that someone actually missed me.
I bet it was difficult to
Especially
explain the
person
reason
named
as to
Lucas,
why
who passed
it led
away
to
this
that.
year. Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you, Lucas. Gracias, amigo. He was one of
God bless Lucas.
of the longest surviving members, and he passed away at the age of 48. So yeah, gracias, amigo.
Yeah, I think Miku told me
We'll
about
always
that before
remember you.
too.
But anyway, back to this. When I was sitting down, I saw Oliver once again. And this time, his father wasn't there, but his mom was. And when she saw me, I looked away. I didn't make eye contact. I was just looking away
Gosh.
because I was still afraid. And then they just sat down. And For the whole day, I was just listening to what the doctors had to say, what news they had, and I didn't make a fuss at the lunch break, and for the rest of the day, I was just myself. I was just sitting down at my table, minding my own business. But when the day was over, someone came to me, and I'll never forget it. The person who came to me was Oliver, by himself.
Whoa.
And the first thing I hear was this. Hey? It was a very shy hey. Then I looked up and I saw Oliver in front of me, all by himself, all alone. His mother wasn't there. She was outside for the moment. So Oliver, he went to me, and I was so surprised. And I gently stood up and I said, "You spoke?" And he gently replied, "Hello? You okay?" He asked about how I was.
Your well-being.
So I said, "Yeah, I am okay now that you're here. But are you okay?" And Oliver, he said, "Yes, I think so. I am okay." And that was the first ever talk we had. We had a conversation. And I was so happy that I really wanted to jump of joy. But I kept remaining calm, because if I reacted violently, it might blow this moment. So I remained calm. I didn't interrupt in joy or happiness or anything. I was just remaining calm. So he was calm because of his shyness.
Mm-hmm.
So I gently asked Oliver, "Do you want to sit? Sit just for a minute, maybe?" And he agreed. So we sat down. And
My
then
heart
we
is
had
actually
another
racing a little
talk
bit.
together. I asked him, "How are you even this shy?" And Oliver, he said, "Well, if you must know, I always had this problem. I never been able to make friends because of this. I don't know about this. They say it's some kind of thing in the brain that interrupts the mood swings. But I'm incredibly shy. I don't know even how to make friends. I'm just like this. And it's hard. I only want to talk to people who I trust." I could see he really meant well, and I could see he was telling the truth, because even though he was talking to me now, I could see how shy he was. His hand was shaking. I could see he was doing this little thing with his feet.
Mm-hmm.
He was really shy. I'd never seen a person this shy before. I felt so sorry for him. But I just said to him, "It's okay to be shy.
Yeah.
But do you have those eye infections like I have?" And he said, "Yes. That's why I'm here."
Oh.
And I gently asked, if it's okay with you, Oliver, if it's okay with you, do you want to tell me about that white eye you had?" And Oliver, he gently looked up. I could see he almost didn't want to talk about it, but he took a deep breath and he said, "I lost one of my eyes when I was 17 due to this eye problem. This eye infection was so bad that the yellowy fluid oozed out of my eye, and then it oozed into the inside of it. And it killed my blood vessels and all the flesh around my eye from the inside. The pain was so bad, and I had to get it removed. My eye was dead. I lost my eye because of this." And I had my first eye infection when I was 6. When he said that, something shifted inside me. This was horrible. His first eye infection was when he was 6 years old. And I had my first one when I was 12. And he kept telling his story that he suffered eye infections every single month when he was 11 to 15. Every single month he had an eye infection on either eye. But it was most the right one he had the problem with. And he even told me that he was bullied in school because of this problem he had. And I couldn't believe all this. And the worst part was when he had that eye removed and he was still having glasses at the time, people called him Three Eyes. When I heard that, I completely broke in anger. But I didn't react with that in front of him. I was reacting so violently inside my spirit. Because even though you are having an illness, you shouldn't be made fun of it.
Exactly.
And Oliver even told me he wanted to end his life. And then I said, Oliver, you're not doing that.
It's not worth it.
You mean a lot to the world. And then Oliver, he looked at me and he said, he just asked, I mean a lot?
Exactly.
How can I mean a lot?
Because you have a purpose. You have multiple
And then
purpose.
I told him
You have
a
the
story.
reason being you.
I said, look, Oliver, even though I still have my eyes, I'm a fighter. For a whole month, I've been fighting an eye infection on my left eye. My eye was dark red, yellowy fluid was oozing out of it, and I was blind on that eye for 28 days. But I kept fighting. I refused to give up. And even though people has also made fun of me because of my size, I know that I'm fat. I know that I'm big and not as cool as other kids. But I kept going forward because my friends supported me. And my parents too. I had the support of those who loved me. And you, Oliver, even though we might not be friends, I also want to support you. Because even though you have lost one eye, you are still special to me. And Oliver, then I gently placed a hand on his shoulder and I said, you mean a lot to me. And then Oliver, he looked at me with that remaining eye he had. It was a very big eye. He looked at me like he was in shock. And then he smiled. It was like, he smiled like this. And that's a smile I will never forget. And then Oliver, he gently took the hand off my shoulder, but he kept holding it. And I kept looking at his hand and I said, Oliver, what are you doing? And then he gently replied, thank you. Then he let go of my hand and I was sitting there stunned. And then his mother came in and said, Oliver, we need to go home. But then Oliver, he gently replied, please wait. I'm having a talk with this man. And then his mother looked over and she saw he was talking with me. And yeah, I don't know what to say. I was like horrified because they're doing another scene. But this time, his mother actually was okay with it. Because I'm somehow got to talk to Oliver. And that was like enough. I was just hoping his father would be okay next time we meet. And I just said to Oliver, You know, Oliver, if you ever need someone to talk to, you can always come to me. Remember, you're not alone.
That's right.
And Oliver, he replied, thank you. He just said thank you. And then he went to his mother and they went home. That was the end of that conversation. But I knew I finally got through to Oliver. And that took a year to get that conversation. I met him when I was 22 on my first day, and I tried to become friends with him 2 times, but screwed up. And then the 3rd time I was supposed to be there, I stayed away, but the 4th time I got to talk with him.
Oh, well, 4th.
It was like a victory, and I was so happy. And the next meeting, after Oliver's birthday, on April the 14th, we meet each other again, and this time Oliver, he came without his parents. And I was surprised. But Oliver he came over to my desk and he just sat down next to me. I was shocked. He chose to sit next to me. And I looked at him and I said, Oliver, what is this? And he just looked at me and he said, isn't this what friends do? Don't we sit next to each other?
Yeah.
And then I was like, he said friends. He said friends. And then I said, you called me a friend? And Oliver, he said, remember what you said? We don't give up. I have a new meaning in life.
Multiple meanings.
Because of what you said. Your story made sense. Even though we can be fat or be shy or weak, we have a strong spirit. Don't you remember that? And I said, I do remember. And then suddenly, Oliver, he showed his hand, and I was like, okay, do we get to shake hands? But then Oliver, he did this, and he said, high five? He wanted a high five. And then suddenly, that was our first high five. I really earned Oliver's trust. I earned his friendship. And I finally did it. I got Oliver as my close friend. And since that day, Oliver and I, we have met each other in every 3 months on those trials, on those meetings. And Oliver, he continues to get stronger every single day. I can see it in him. Today, Oliver is 27 years old. And if you haven't noticed, Oliver is actually starting to be in some live streams. If you go to my dear bro Silverreploid's channel and go to one of his live streams,
yeah,
Oliver was playing on my account because he wanted to try out Splatoon. And I was so proud that he got to try something new. So maybe one day, if he gets brave enough, I don't know when that time will come, he might be able to have a chat with them. But right now, Oliver is writing. And writing is also good. But as I told you, Oliver only want to talk to those people he trusts the most. So, yeah. But anyway, Oliver, he is a great guy. And I respect him a lot.
I can vouch.
And today, even though Oliver was born in Spain, he moved to Sweden because it was there he was looking for work. And now he works in a construction site. And he's doing well at his job. But today, Oliver's father is sadly dead. He died 11 months ago. So sorry for the loss, Oliver.
I'm sorry too.
But we will continue to move on. And also, Oliver's father and I, we did become friends after he saw I gained Oliver's trust. So that's behind us.
That's good.
But I still feel sorry that his father passed away at the age of 63.
Yeah.
It's young to die. But that's what happens when you smoke too much. The smoke finally caught up to him. But Oliver, we will continue to move on for him. And one day, you will be a strong person. I know it. So yeah, anyway, I hope this story wasn't too long. I know it's almost been an hour, but there was so much that happened. And before I end it, I will say this, Miku fans. You have to continue to fight. Do not give up. Don't lose your hope. Because the last thing you lose is your hope. If you lose that, everything will crumble. So if you have an illness
no reversible
you don't know anything about, please go to an expert or a doctor. It can save your life, like it did to my eyes. And today, Oliver, he's fighting strong to keep his remaining eye. Even though he keeps getting those eye infections on his remaining eye, he's still fighting to keep that eye. So Miku fans, all I want to say is this: do not give up. Never ever give up.
I agree.
There is a way, there is a will, but you have to earn it. If you give up, everything will fall. All that you have built for your future will collapse. So do not let go of your hope. That's my strong advice to all of you. I earned a friendship that I never thought I would get, but I did it. I earned Oliver's trust, and it took me a lot of a struggle, but it worked. My refuse to give up actually worked. But yeah, that's that story of how I met Oliver. And Oliver, I'm so glad you and I are friends. And I will continue to support you no matter what.
Me too.
So yeah, that's all I can say. And that's the reason why I can cope with this eye infection, because I have someone to talk to. Even though I have the others at the club, at Copenhagen, at that hospital, Oliver is the one I trust the most. So that's all I can say. Thank you for listening to this story, and I hope you will learn from this. Do not give up. Do not ever give up.
Keep pushing, Drew. You too, Miku.
So that's it. I was saying the thing I do at the end of the video. If you want to see more, of course, please subscribe today to become a Miku fan, and I'll see you next time in my next video. So, bye bye Miku fans, stay tuned for more, and as always, believe in Miku Hatsune, and we love you, Oliver. Have a good night.
Okay. This is going to get pretty lengthy, depends on what I have, based on what I've heated, based on what emotions stirred within me, based on everything that I've felt in the aftermath of listening to the story in its entirety. So, I'm not gonna lie, I legitimately almost cried in some parts. Now, like I said, before I get to what I'm going to lay out, it can sometimes be a struggle when it comes to befriending new people. And I get that sometimes. Regardless of what their conditions are, regardless of different circumstances and everything else down that road, regardless of what transpires, it can still be strenuous, but at the same time though, it can be rewarding. Because it helps us grow. It helps us be more self-sufficient. Not self-sufficient, but being self-sufficient with others around you. And you know what? Both Miku and Oliver show those prime examples when they both met each other at Copenhagen, at that amazing community where it shares our experiences regardless of what our conditions are, our mental health, etc. And I would say right off the bat that the entirety of the story is very bittersweet. And I will also say this. I'm trying to get around it, but I'm trying to also control my emotions, because after hearing the story, although I will point this out, When it comes to people who are intimidating you because of your talent, your mental illness, and everything else pertaining to you, that should never be condoned, because you are you. And for those who are constantly intimidating others based on who they are, what they are, etc., they're literally in the wrong for that, because they're people like them. They are human just like them. They have their own talent, they have their own potential. Even Oliver has his own potential, regardless of what his status is. And they should never demoralize him out of mere spite because of how talented he is. Working as a construction worker, and even though he had his first eye infection at the age of 6, he's still him. He still has a purpose. Every one of us, including myself, have purposes, regardless of what they are. And what purpose? How we ever keep going, how we continue to build the Tower of Destiny. If we stop right there, what else could we be able to use to continue developing a destined tower of fate? The Golden Tower, as a matter of fact. Because our destiny is more valuable than jewelry itself, more valuable than gold. I'm sorry. And if I'm being brutally honest, destiny is what helps keeps us going. Potential is what helps keeps us going, regardless of the many obstacles that enter our path. And based on what MikuFan said in the story throughout, I too had obstacles during my school days. But you know what? I overcame them, because I know for a fact there is no end until we reach the end of the tunnel. If we keep persisting, if we keep going, if we keep the ball rolling, regardless of what we have on our hands and whatnot, we can be able to achieve anything. I mean, look where I'm at. A content creator after graduating from college. Well, I was a content creator while in college, but I did college first and then continued, and it got me to where I am right now. It got me to being able to support my family regardless of what circumstances we have and everything. And I too have a mental illness as well. For those who have mental illnesses, you forever and always have my support. Even if you don't have a mental illness, I mean, for those who have mental illness, whether you have mental illness or not, all of you forever have my support, regardless of what you're going through. But just remember one thing: submission, surrendering, and giving up are never the options to your destiny. Because like Miku said, if you stop right there, you give up, everything will start to become demolished. And you do not want that for yourself. You do not want that for your friends. You do not want that for your family. You do not want that for everyone who believes in you. You do not want those things. You just don't. Because it helps us keep going. Perseverance is key. Everything applies to everything. If you want to achieve something, you have to earn it. You have to work for it. You have to keep pushing through. Slash through the many obstacles that enter your path. Because if you keep slashing through and slashing through and slashing through, yada yada yada, eventually you will reach the end of the tunnel. And if you reach the end of the tunnel, keep running through. Because you will continue to see everything. Your chapter is ongoing, regardless of the time. You have so much to live for. You have more than just one general, destined purpose, people. You are your own person. People will always tell you that you have the right to make your own decisions. You have the right to do what you feel is right. Keep sticking to them. Keep persevering. Because at the end of the day, regardless of what obstacles you went through, at least you tried. And that is the most rewarding and overselling part about it. Because you are you. You are amazing with your talent and everything else. And I'm not gonna lie, I almost cried once again when it showed the when I was listening to the part where Oliver was being bullied. It is highly intolerable to make a mockery out of people's mental illnesses. If you're one of those people who would definitely take a notion to do that, whether it's people who I love, whether it's people who are trying their hardest because they also have the same purpose as well, if it's pertaining to me and whatnot, then we have nothing to talk about, and you absolutely have no space within my boundaries. Because I will not tolerate intimidation in any way, shape, or form. Especially when it comes to people's mental illnesses. Because people who have mental illnesses are very capable of doing any damn thing they want to do and need to do, whether they are aware of it or not. So guys, word of advice, keep being you. Keep doing what you feel is right. Do not let a single person or a group of people tell you otherwise, because they have their own talents, and guess what? You do too. And if they don't like it, then that's their problem, not yours. You have the potential, you have the power to do what you feel is golden, and probably more valuable than diamonds too. So yeah, regardless of whether you have a mental condition, you're still you. You still have the potential to do something. You still have the determination to do something. Regardless of what it is you want to do. And if you want to reach that very mark, you have to push through for it. So yeah, guys, that right there was the story. And it is very great that both Miku and Oliver are both friends / bros, because I treat most people as family here. And this story really stirred me up a little bit on the inside, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm speaking the honest God truth, regardless of how I'm articulating it the best way I can to the best of my ability. And yeah, Oliver, if you're watching this, God bless you, God bless your family, God bless everything about you, your potential and everything else. You forever and always have my support, along with Miku's. Everyone who met Oliver, please continue to show them tons of love, support, and keep fighting. If you're ever undergoing through the same struggles as Oliver, Miku, me, anyone you know have, keep fighting through. Don't give up. Because if you want to keep the Destined Tower building, you have to persevere. Regardless of what obstacles you encounter, there is still time. You still have that potential, regardless of what it is. Don't let any obstacle whatsoever desist you on being you. And with that being said, everyone, that is going to conclude my video, my reaction to the story, and my innermost take on the whole entire thing. And Miku, bro, God bless you, and thank you so much for telling the story. This definitely teaches people about numerous aspects. About potential, about obstacles, about being yourselves and everything else, regardless of the circumstances. I believe this should be taken as a prime example on how people can be themselves, regardless of what they go through. So guys, I highly recommend you take heed of every frame, every sound, every aspect of the video. In fact, I'm going to add the video link in the description so you can see for yourself the perspective of his side of the story on how him and Oliver came to be. And with that being said, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Subscribe to MikuFan 3000 for more of his amazing and powerful content. And subscribe here if you're new with the notifications activated. I'm going to keep the outro short because I think I'm going to articulate it way too much, but when it comes to some circumstances like these, I keep it 100% real. And yeah, let me go ahead and rejuvenate myself because, well, after hearing that story, it is very powerful. It really was. Guys, have a blessed and safe Sunday. And remember, guys, keep persevering. Do not submit to oblivion. In other words, keep persevering. Keep going. Do not stop even after you reach the tunnel. Because the more you run, the more righteous you will ever become. Thank you. I love you guys. If you love music, and if you would like to partake in support of my channel by purchasing music, please refer to my song list down below.